Alright, welcome to the next lesson. So in this lesson, I'll be taking you through the blocking stage of this card. But before we do that, we did not save this file. So we're going to press Ctrl Shift S to save as. So instead of sets and props, we'll first save this as the layout. So by the end of this lesson, we would save the next one as layout, right? Yeah. We'll save the next one as blocking. Alright, so this is the layout, and it's time for us to block out our scene. Alright, so this is pretty straightforward and it's pretty easy, and just like we've been doing with our initial classes. Alright, which is what we want to do here. So I'll bring this down a bit here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is block out the scene. So we're going to pulse out this first key pose, all right? And yeah, that's what we're going to do. So how do we do that? The first thing is to select our root bone. Remember our root bone, our almighty root bone. Let's pull the whole rig back a bit. We'll select our root bone, bring this down a bit, move it forward. If you notice he's bent, there's a way he's bent in, like there's this diagonal line. I can't actually use my grease pencil here because this is an image strip. So there's this strip, there's this line, if you notice is bent this way. Okay, another thing, I think before I even go ahead and start moving controls around, let's switch from IK to FK. So if switch from FK to IK, we'll come to tools, snap to IK, select the other one, snap to IK. Alright, so we now have our IK hand here. Okay, so move this forward because from the front view it's this way. Bring the arms forward. Rotate it forward. I think I'll move this back just a bit. Place the hands. Okay. So what we're doing is we're actually posing our first shot. This is called the blocking. So the blocking stage is the stage where you just create a silhouette of the character from the reference. So at this point you're not adding any detail, there is no much detail. All right, if you notice also on our own shot, the laptop is actually blocking the hands here. So I think we'll just mimic exactly what we have on our shot. So I'll switch to object mode and select, I'll come here instead and select this laptop. I think that's what I'll do. That's what I'm going to do. Select the laptop, delete it, just delete it. So my mouse, I think I'll just move it to position. Alright, so we just have that clear, it's a clear table. So if you look at it from the camera view here, you can see the hands there. So I'll rotate this root bone, switch to pose mode, rotate the root bone just a bit there. Lift the head up. Lift the shoulders up there a bit. So I'll look at it from the top view, bring these arms just a bit here. Okay, if you notice, this is where it stops. So I think I would use my auto stretch just a bit there. Maybe I'll just leave it at 1. Stretch the arms. So I'll use my auto stretch here. So increase or lift up these shoulders a bit. So remember, that's how you animate. This is pretty much how you animate. So do yours, pose your own character. So bring this forward. So another thing you should notice is a character's tummy is a bit bulky. Like he has this bit of pot belly. So bring this forward. So if you look at it from the side view, you see that there's really no weight transferred to this hands. So you just, like I said, train your eyes to look at it from another perspective. This is one that has a bit of weight. Okay. That just like that. So there's weight on it. If you notice, there's a bit of weight on this hand. So you notice the tension on the hand there. You could just pull it back just a bit. Don't forget the fingers. So I'll switch to wireframe. Okay. I'll rotate the pinky out just a bit, scale it. Do the same thing here. So I'm actually placing the finger on top of the table. Okay, if you notice, the hands is just going through the table, which is not what we want to achieve. So it wants the hands on top the table, so we can actually come here and tweak the fingers independently. So I promised myself I wasn't going to use time lapse on any of my videos, so I need to follow it carefully the way I'm working on mine. So just do yours, actually create something awesome. So if not, I'll just do a time lapse for this particular process, but I won't want to do that. It's not fair, because you're a complete beginner and you haven't, this is your first time animating, assuming. Okay, so I think I'll lift this up just a bit again. Rotate this head. Excuse me. Okay, pull the hand. So we have this arc. Remember our arc, we're not seeing it, it's not actually obvious. So I'll pull this hand again. So the character is quite a short character. It doesn't have that long hand like we do for our reference here. So this is the shot we are looking at. So you're looking at this one so that you actually get it as close to the reference as possible. So the blocking is basically blocking out the key, the key poses from your shot. So if I select everything, I'll press I to add a keyframe. So if I scrub my timeline now, hold up, okay, if I scrub my timeline now, so the next pose we are going to set is this one. So before we do that, let's select every key on the timeline or on our dope sheet. Press I, switch to constant, so we have a constant interpolation for this character. So the next pose we are going to do is we'll clear out this rotation. Okay, bring it up a bit, bring our keep our root pose up a bit. We'll lift this up, copy and paste it the other way. Remember the way we copy and paste, so which is Control C then Control Shift V. So this is it here. Rotate this up, copy, paste it the other way. So on this one here, I would remove the auto stretch. Okay, so at this point it's actually looking up, so you could see that arc right there. So we'd want to create the same thing in our shot here. Okay, so I'll clear this. Oops, I'll clear this one. Now also clear this one here, so we have that. That arc. So move this forward. So these are anticipation pose. So find the pull for the arm, move this here like this. So if you notice the shot now, we may have to adjust our camera again, okay, to face, we will have to rotate our camera. Let's quickly do that. I'll select the camera and rotate it along the Z axis, then move it along the X axis. Okay, this is the shot I'm using as my reference. Rotate it again along the Z axis, move it this way, then press G and Z twice to move it into place. So if I look at this from the camera view, apply my root of third, so it's assumed that his head will eventually come down. So to look at the camera, so let's look at this. Let's look at it this way. So select my rig, go back to pose mode. Okay, so these are our next key pose. So this is me going in. At this stage, you're not polishing anything. There's no need to polish. Absolutely no need to polish anything. You're not. There's no detailing. So this is blocking, and it's a very good workflow to start. So you can actually go in between the frames and tweak some, tweak a few and clean up a few keys or keyframes, if you want to call it that. So this is how I want it to be. Right, so that's another key pose. The first key pose, if we scroll our timeline now. So now the next key pose now. So you see, which is what we want to to recreate. So the next key pose is when he slams on the table. and he wakes up again. So we'll establish that key pose right now. So at frame 65 is where he slams the table, which is what we want to do right now. So I'll rotate it. Oops. I'll rotate this forward. I'll clear the rotation for this hand, for the head. So now slam. Let's actually rotate this body here. Lifts this first spine up a bit right there. Okay, the next one, just like any art, it will not look good from at the beginning, but not to worry. Don't fret, don't get scared. So slam the table just like we have in our shot. So if you look at it, it's the character's hand is entering into our table, which is something we do not want to happen. So I think the pinky is what's causing that, the thumb is what's causing that issue. So we'll place the thumb on that rest pose. Okay, so this control here helps you spread the fingers just a bit. So we'll spread the fingers just there. So remember, this is blocking, but if you want, you can just go ahead and add a few details like me, just to make sure that the fingers are actually placed properly. So once that's done, I'll just select everything on that finger part, the hands part, copy, Ctrl Shift V, and I'll slam it the other way. So at this point, if you notice here, let's rotate this. Okay, so I think I'll bring down my waist just a bit there. Remember when I said that you animate only what the camera sees? So I'm just bringing down the spine to have that, see the hand, have that curve the way it is here. So select everything, add a keyframe, so establishing the pose. So if you notice in between the hand, there's an offset, right? The hand landed before the body landed too. Okay, so we'd want to do the same thing for this one. So we'll lift the waist up, let's release the shoulders just a bit, copy and paste it the other way. So I just copied the pull for this arm to the other way, to the other arm. So the head also, it has this intimidating look. So select everything, add a keyframe. So the next key pose we are going to add is this. note of this anticipation. There's an anticipation. He pulled back first and he attacked. Okay, so take note of that. So we'll be adding that. So the next pulse we are going to do is pull this forward. Right, so we're actually establishing our key poses. So in the next lesson, we'll just go into the timing of the animation and start the second blocking pass, which is adding in a few other you'll start adding in details. But the layouts and the blocking just did the job for us right now, especially if we are using a reference. I think I'll clear out this one, bring this down here. So if you notice the body is going into the character, which is something we do not want. So we can play with this, because I mean these controls are for you to play with, so go ahead and play with it. So because the camera is not actually seeing this part, so you make sure you want to adjust it as much as possible, make it better. So I think this other spine out would ease in on the rotation there. All right, so he has a broader shoulder, so you won't really bother much with that. So now the weight is this way. If you notice, the weight is bending the other way, so we'll just give it that weight, give the weight to that hand right there. Don't forget there's an arc here, so you just try as much as possible to maintain the arc on the other hand. So select everything, add a keyframe. So the next keyframe now, the next key pose we are going to add is this one here. All right, so would lift the hand now, so would rotate. We'll first have established this one, rotate this, rotate this way, lift the hand, so I think at this point is where he actually switches to FK. So I'll select this control, the right arm control. All right, go to my properties panel, that's come to tools, and I'll snap this control to FK. So when I come here now, I can now lift. You see that, right? So it's better, you can actually work with this control. So I'll also bring this up, maybe release it just to have this arc here. So at this point, look at it from the front view. Let's look at it from the top view. So I would rotate it forward. I think let's start here. So our tab there is getting in the way. Don't worry about that. We're going to adjust it, including the book is getting in the way. We would adjust that. So we'll turn the head this way, so the eyes is actually looking that way. So don't worry, when it's time for polish it, we'll add all those things. But what we are establishing in this blocking stage are the key poses. Okay, the key poses are very, very important to this shot. Okay, so we'll rotate the arms a bit. All right, so for this one, we'll clear this spread by pressing Alt R to clear the spread. So I'll select this. I think I'll just click finger grab. I don't think that works best for me right now, but let's set that back to default. Reset to default. So what I do is just right click and on your finger grab, but once it switches to this arrow, just right click and you can actually effect your changes. Okay, so let's rotate this in. So select these 3 finger roots controls there. So we have that one finger pointing out. Okay, so select everything, add a keyframe. So the next keyframe in our next key pose now is this one. Alright, so this part is a lot more technical, because if you notice the arms, this left arm moved a bit, so we'll add that key pose there, but we'll do that in our next lesson. I think we should just do it here. Let's just finish it up here. So in our next lesson, we go over to the next blocking parts, then the polishing, then the lip sync, and we are done. Then we'll do the final polishing and we are done with this module. All right, so we'll do that right now. So we'll move to the next key pose where he points at himself. So this be at frame 98. So you see there's this one exactly. So when he then looks, I'll rotate this spine here. Oops. So he's still angry. If you notice this shoulder is a bit broad, so just lift this up. I think I'll move this spine here a bit. So look at the face. Alright, select everything, add a keyframe. I'll go to the next shot, which is this one. So we'll come back to this pose here, which is this one. We'll modify it, so you can actually copy and paste poses. So this pose here, we can actually copy it to this part. Just press G to grab it to this part. But for this, in this case, we'll now modify it. Okay. rotate the hand forward just a bit. Move the waist, the torso. So you don't concern yourself too much about what's going on behind here or the feet, because the camera is not, if you notice, the camera is not actually showing the feet, so you focus more on what's in the shot. Okay, so we'll take this a bit just to, the reference we're working with is actually big. He's a huge guy, so you can actually see the intimidation. So relax the shoulder a bit here. Okay, so the books are getting in the way. I'll just go to object mode, select, I'll come here to this other window, select this books and move it out of the way for now. So when I look at my, so I select my rig now and go to pose mode, I can now adjust the fingers. Okay, I need to pay attention to like observe your rig as close as possible. Let it be as close to the rig, like to the reference, as close as you can. That's the whole idea of animation, bringing pretty much real life to CGI, to 3D, making the character act the way a normal human being will act. So I'll select everything, add a keyframe. So the next shot, so if you notice he pointed at himself twice. Exactly, he pointed at himself twice, which is something we'll do in the next lesson, where we start timing and doing the second blocking, filling in the in-between poses, like filling in, creating our overlap and offsets. So offset a few poses here, like the hands, you get. So this first blocking is blocking out the key poses of the character. So we'll block out this final pose, because this is, I think that's the second to the last pose. So do this a bit loud though. So at this point his shoulder is already on the table. So this is the camera view. You want to look at things from the camera perspective. So he's already on the table. I think I'll just open the arms just a bit. So I would also rotate this here, rotate the shoulders, I'm pressing R twice to have that me kind of arc. To rotate this first FK control. So if you notice also this pose is not so close to the face, all right, but because of our own scene, the way our own scene is, is created. Okay, I would focus, make it point at himself. So the head now steadies. I think this spine comes in just a bit. So I think we'll bring the waist this here, just so we can break, just so we can break these hands, even though we can't actually get it precisely. So the idea is to get it as close as possible. So if you notice here, it looks like he wants to climb the table. Okay, so we just give that, though they are not seeing the legs anyway, so it's no point. So I'll just rotate. So all these controls are meant to be, played with. Okay, you don't just animate one thing and think, okay, we are done. So pull and push the controls, so that to give you the result you're looking for. Always pull your controls. You can actually pull it, so go wild if you want to, but don't go too wild anyways. You want to create believability and realism, so it's giving that angry look. If you go to wireframe, there's another control here called the neck control, so I can actually animate this. I think the head is following the neck. I think let me snap it to 0 so I can have control over my head. So if you snap that to 0 and now select your neck control, you can actually have this this a little, if you notice here, if I come closer, you will see this arc here. So we want to have that, this may kind of, I think we should have removed this headlock, but it's fine. In the next lesson, we are going to go into adding details to our character animation. All right, so to do this angry, we want to have that please close to this as possible. Okay, so I think that's it. So the last pose is where he rests a bit, where he so there is this breathing. So lift this up, very subtle, be subtle about it. Bring this down again. Don't worry, we'll still offset it in the next class, in the next lesson. So I actually forgot. So make sure you select everything and add a keyframe. Always do that. So you notice this tool does not have the whole keyframe set, so select everything and add a keyframe. So if we play this now, looking at it from a camera perspective and play it.
A man did more than that. And I am that man! A man did more than that. And I am that man!
So you see the snapping of the head. So it's because of the lock on the head. So we'll edit that in the next lesson. But so far, this is our blocking.
A man did more than that. And I am that man! A man.
So you see that last breathing. That last breathing is detail. So we're not supposed to add it in the blocking stage. So from that design, you'll be tempted to add in detail when you're blocking, but you know, focus on the blocking stage. Just block out the characters, key poses. Just check the key poses that the character is acting out, and block that out before you start adding in the details. So the next lesson we'll start adding in details and offsetting, you know, the poses, so that we can have a more believable, you know, believable action. So with that said, I'll see you. Oh, before we go to the next lesson, let's save this file as blocking. Okay, we'll save this file now. We'll come to save as, or you press Shift Control S to save as. So we'll name this one not layout anymore, we'll name it blocking. So that's how you arrange, so that, I mean, if for example it crashes or you lose that file, you can actually go back to the previous one and edit from there. Okay, so that's how you save. You save this as blocking. The next class we'll go into the second blocking, then lip sync, polishing, and we're done. I mean, I think you're already getting.
A man did more than that, and I am that man.
So you're already getting a hang of this. I mean, if you're already posing the character, congratulations, you're an animator already. So you're already understanding this. So in the next lesson, we'll just move this out of the way so that we have more room to play with. All right, so I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.